For decades, everyone believed the Presley name defined the world's most legendary entertainer. But in 2004, DNA testing proved Elvis's paternal line matched the Wallace family, not Presley at all, and that was only the beginning. Genetic evidence confirmed hidden Cherokee, Jewish, Scottish, and German roots, upending everything the official story left out. The consequences reshape not just his identity, but the truth behind his entire legacy. How could so much ancestry stay buried, and what does it reveal about the man we thought we knew? In 2004, a team at DNA Consultants began analyzing genetic material collected from sheets preserved since 1977, the year Elvis Presley died. The process started with strict laboratory protocols to extract and amplify the Y-DNA marker, a marker that passes unchanged from father to son. When the results came in, the data pointed to haplogroup I2 F2044, a rare subclade most commonly found in Scottish populations. To verify, the lab compared this profile against international Y-DNA databases, focusing on both frequency and surname associations. Among thousands of entries, not a single Presley surname matched the genetic signature. Instead, the closest and most frequent matches appeared under the Wallace surname, concentrated in Itawamba County, Mississippi. This finding was not a statistical outlier. The Wallace match was exact, confirmed repeatedly across multiple database searches. The Y-DNA profile showed no overlap with any Presley line in the reference collections. Forensic checks ruled out contamination, and the chain of custody for the sample, while not fully published, was consistent with standard handling for historical artifacts. The evidence left little room for ambiguity. By direct paternal descent, the DNA aligned with the Wallace family. The Presley surname, so closely linked to American music history, had no genetic anchor in the paternal line. Instead, the data traced the paternal ancestry to a different branch, one that had remained hidden in plain sight for generations. The next question was not about the science, but about the family story that brought this genetic path into being. Rosella Presley was born in 1861 in Fulton, Mississippi, at a time when family names carried the weight of tradition. By 1896, she was raising children on her own, including Jesse, born that year in Itawamba County. The identity of Jesse's father was never written in public records, but local stories and later DNA evidence pointed to John Wallace, a man whose surname would have been passed down by custom. Instead, Rosella made a different choice. Every child, regardless of their father, carried her name, Presley. In the rural South, such a decision was rare and quietly defiant. The Presley name, which would become world famous, was not inherited through the paternal line, but chosen and protected by a woman who never married and never revealed her children's fathers. The DNA result, Y, DNA I2 F2 044, was not just a scientific anomaly. It reflected the convergence of personal agency and migration history. This subclade is found most often in Scotland, and in the American South, it appears almost exclusively among men with the Wallace surname, especially in Itawamba County. The Wallace connection is not just genetic, it is geographic, rooted in the same Mississippi soil where Rosella raised her family. Her decision to use the Presley name created a new branch, one that would carry her descendants into the spotlight. The story of Elvis's surname is not just about genetics or paperwork. It is about a woman's choice, the persistence of a name, and the unexpected ways that family history can shape a legacy. As the paternal line reaches back to Scottish origins, the maternal story reveals even more layers yet to be uncovered. DNA Consultants' 2004 analysis moved beyond the paternal line, turning attention to the maternal side. The laboratory isolated mitochondrial DNA, passed unchanged from mother to child, and identified haplogroup B, a marker found almost exclusively in indigenous populations of the Americas. This result stood out because haplogroup B is rare outside Native American communities, yet it appeared in the direct maternal line leading to Elvis. The finding was not based on family stories alone. It was reinforced by a separate 2007 Oxford Ancestors test sponsored by Lisa Marie Presley, which confirmed high autosomal matches for American Indian ancestry. Tracing the lineage, records point to Nancy J. Burdine, born around 1826, who is described in historical accounts as at least half Cherokee. Her presence in the family tree is supported by census data, including the 1850 Alabama census listing Abner Tackett, her husband, as Indian. This notation, while not a formal tribal enrollment, reflects how the family was identified at the time. Further back, oral histories name Mourning White Dove, born around 1800, as a full-blooded Cherokee woman who married William Mansell in 1818. The combination of mitochondrial DNA evidence supporting autosomal results and period census records forms a consistent pattern. Native American ancestry runs through Elvis's maternal line, rooted in the Southeast before the era of official tribal documentation. A headstone designed in 1959 carries a symbol rarely seen in Mississippi cemeteries at the time, a Star of David. Elvis commissioned this for his mother Gladys, years before his own rise to global fame. The headstone stood quietly in Graceland's meditation garden, stored away after 1977, and remained out of public view for over 4 decades. In 2018, Graceland archivists brought it back on display, citing family tradition that traced Jewish ancestry through Gladys's maternal line. The story centers on Nancy J. Burdine, born around 1826, described in some accounts as a Jewish immigrant from Lithuania. While census and church records from that era are incomplete, the family narrative and Graceland's own statements highlight this matrilineal link. Under Jewish law, identity passes through the mother, making the claim significant even in the absence of full documentation. Elvis's connection to this heritage extended beyond the cemetery. In 1972, he wore a chai necklace, a Hebrew symbol of life, during a concert in Salt Lake City, and again on the night he died. Friends and biographers recall his interest in Jewish customs, including serving as Shabbos Goy for Rabbi Fruchter in Memphis and donating to the Memphis Hebrew Academy. A Wall Street Journal article from 1998 reported these details, noting that Elvis often spoke of feeling different, as if he carried a legacy others could not see. The presence of these symbols on a headstone, around his neck, and in his daily actions offers a window into the cultural complexity that shaped his identity. Each artifact, each gesture, stands as a quiet affirmation of a family history that was both hidden and, in its own way, proudly displayed. Johannes Bressler was born in 1669 in the Palatinate region of Germany, a landscape shaped by centuries of migration and religious upheaval. In 1710, he boarded a ship to New York, joining thousands of German vine dressers and tradesmen who sought new beginnings in colonial America. Over the next generations, the Bressler family line threaded its way into the fabric of the American South, eventually converging with the Presley ancestry. Recent genetic studies, including a 2023 analysis by iGenia, confirm this German heritage within Elvis's DNA, alongside strong Scottish, Irish, French, and Cherokee markers. The genetic profile is a mosaic, with autosomal matches reflecting not only Germany and Scotland, but also Spain and Native American ancestry. These results echo the historical record, German and Scottish lines interwoven through marriages and migrations, each adding to the complexity of the Presley family tree. The presence of black hair and dark eyes in the family is consistent with this diverse background, shaped by centuries of movement across continents. DNA evidence, layered atop centuries-old records, now traces a path from the vineyards of Hochstadt to a small house in Tupelo, revealing a lineage far richer than the official story ever suggested. Dunn & Presley's record tells a story of absence and disruption. He fathered children with 4 different women, never divorced, and deserted the Confederate Army twice, a pattern that left families in Mississippi without support or clear paternal ties. In this environment, Rosella Presley's choice to keep her children's fathers unnamed was both protection and necessity. The secrecy around paternity shielded the family from scandal in a region where reputation mattered. Decades later, Colonel Tom Parker took a similar approach, managing public narratives and steering attention away from any hint of controversy. These layers of concealment kept the true origins of Elvis's family line hidden, shaping how ancestry was remembered and recorded. On September 19, 1903, Bob Smith and Doll Mansell, first cousins, were married in Mississippi. This union, while common in rural Southern communities, concentrated inherited traits within the family, including the distinct features seen in their daughter Gladys. Decades later, as Elvis rose to fame, questions about his appearance became fuel for public debate. Magazine headlines in the 1950s openly asked, "Is Elvis white?" a reflection of both curiosity and the era's rigid social boundaries. The facts of his ancestry, shaped by cousin marriage and visible diversity, challenged simple answers and exposed the limits of public perception. Today, genetic evidence proves even icons stand at the crossroads of hidden histories. As DNA testing reshapes family narratives, the myth of a single origin gives way to complexity. Elvis's story reminds us, beneath every legend, the truth is always richer, and it's still unfolding. What's your ancestry story?